It's fantastic here, and I wanted to take you through my final project on developing AI strategy. So today, I wanted to thank you for spending some time listening to this. A bit about me. I'm Anne. I'm originally from Canada. That's the accent. I moved to Australia in 2010. I was originally based in Melbourne and actually now live in Sydney. Most recently, I was working for Salesforce, a US headquartered software company. I've always worked in HR in some way, shape, or form. So I was very excited to take this AI strategy course as I'm really interested in AI use cases and their application for AI, HR specifically. For my final project, I wanted to prepare my presentation with the audience in mind of Salesforce, in particular their Chief People Officer, Natalie Scardino, or their delegate. I would also include with my wish list of people I'm speaking to the local head of our technology team or their delegate, and the local head of our talent acquisition team and their delegate. So that's sort of who I'm speaking to today. In terms of Salesforce context, the overall purpose of the company is to help other companies connect with their customers in new ways, leveraging technology solutions, including AI, with their premier product being Agentforce. Their strategic priorities are technology leadership, responsible growth, in particular shareholder value, and business as a platform for change. Context-wise, there's about 75,000 employees globally. The organization did go through multiple rounds of redundancy starting back in 2010. So it has been growing, but growing more profitably. And there's about 1,500 folks in HR. The key challenges are continued profitable growth while managing costs, especially employee headcount, which is a large cost, as you can imagine. All right, so getting started, I want to kick off our meeting, Natalie and Co, with some definitions for you. Purpose of the conversation today is to be talking about AI and some applications I think we can have for our AI, for our HR function. So to ground us first, what is AI? So AI is artificial intelligence. It's a technology that performs tasks that typically humans would do. This could include things like research, analysis, decision making, and more. Machine learning is something else we might talk you might hear about in general, which is a subset of AI, and it relates to technology that can learn autonomously or by itself. So that's just a couple definitions to get us started. If we're thinking about AI in the world of HR at Salesforce, we need to think about requirements to be successful. Here are a few that I thought we should keep in mind before we get too excited. One will be our data. We need enough data and of data of the right quality to feed a machine to learn, for example. We also are going to need some computer processing ability to make, if we need to build a large language model to fuel agents, for example, we're going to need some power behind that. We're going to need to also culturally confirm if there's customer appetite. So, for example, customers HR might be our team members ourselves, hiring managers, candidates, our own managers, our employees. Are they up for using machine learning or AI solutions for what the solution is? And finally, culture. Are we up for kind of giving this a try, testing and learning, and using proven solutions with lower risk? HR, as we know, is a very risky function. So we want to make sure we're treating all of this with an eye of risk. I saw in my research a couple of opportunities for us at Salesforce. There are many more, but two that I've honed in on. One would be around our hiring, and the second is around supporting our people managers. So around hiring, we typically hire 3,000 to 4,000 new hires every year, and our current the benchmark globally that I found around time to hire is roughly 44 days. So we sometimes move faster than that. We sometimes move more slowly. But if we think about that, we hire a high volume of new hires. And if we're thinking about a month and a half, say, to hire them, how might we reduce the time to hire? And we all know that that's a big load on our hiring managers and recruiters. So how could we reduce the time to hire while maintaining a positive employee and candidate experience? That's kind of one use case. Another that is a bit more is around our people managers. So if we assume that we have about 7,500 people managers any one time around the globe, that's a lot of them. They might have a query when it relates to HR policy about what they might do, and they might need an answer now. And currently they get that support via a ticket or self-service, and sometimes it goes offshore, and sometimes the person offshore is not in their time zone. So they might sometimes get an answer within 48 hours, 24 hours, but they might need it more quickly. So the other use case is how might we in HR answer these queries efficiently with very low error and very high consistency. So I included a couple of inspiration cases for us here on success of AI or machine learning currently in HR. One is around speeding up the time to hire and improving quality. So there's a company called Harvard out of the US, and it actually Unilever uses one of Harvard's products called Pymetrics in the recruitment process. So Unilever, similar to us, recruits a very high number of employees per year, even more than us, though. They're about 30,000, and they've got around 1.8 million job applications at any one time going. That's a lot of volume. And as with us, they need to find the right talent, and they need to find it quickly. So this off-the-shelf solution, Harvard or Pymetrics, uses machine learning algorithms to assess candidates. Basically, a candidate will do a series of games to test their aptitude, logic, reasoning, and appetite for risk, and then the machine learning algorithm figures out if they're suitable for a particular role. There's another use case here around candidates submitting a video interview, and the assessment is done by machine learning algorithm to examine answering questions through natural language processing. Is this person a fit for roles? So those are just some existing off-the-shelf solutions and use cases already in our field. The other, which relates to our second use case about supporting managers, which is really quite exciting, I think, is around AI agent as a generalist. So it's a company called Whisk out of the US that's got an agent called Harper. Harper basically can answer HR questions for managers and employees really quickly using a proprietary HR large language model. This is based on US country legislation, as I understand, but it might include things like, I've got a question about our time and attendance policy. Can I take this leave of absence? We get a lot of questions about that today in HR, about parental leave, for example. Requests for flexible work, help with performance management. The benefits are it's available all the time. The response time is less than 8 seconds. Like this blew my mind. This is much faster than we do it today. And it saves our clients about 35 hours per month in HR effort, which is a day a week, which is a lot. And it's really aligned to the HR designation in the US. So the quality of answer is really high. So those are just a couple of inspirations for us. So moving towards, for us, implementation, we want to explore what would make an AI solution valid for one of our challenges. So I focused in on speeding up the time to hire and improving the quality of our hires because of the high volume here. So we want to look at the benefits versus the costs. The benefits are obviously consistent recruitment criteria across role types across the globe. We sometimes have some inconsistency there. We can have improved assessment of skills versus the role, and faster as well. We can have reduction in bias in the process if we do it well, and overall less effort for hiring managers and recruiters. However, those benefits, when it comes to cost of implementing, we don't necessarily have great data today on our internal time to hire and time and effort required by our hiring managers and recruiters. So we probably want to explore that a little bit more. We also, costs of the external solutions, for example, the couple that I showed you before, might be straightforward to estimate, but we'll need to estimate other implementation costs. For example, we might do a proof of concept first, then a pilot, and we also need to think about resourcing. The other big thing to think about from a cost perspective is, I know AI is certainly the hot topic here at Salesforce today. And is this our top priority? Will we get IT support to proceed? And is this our top HR challenge at this time to invest in? All right, so in terms of recommended proof of concept, I think we should explore something in this space around understanding how we might speed up time to hire. Our use case would be, I would recommend, given what exists already from my market scan, do an out-of-the-box talent acquisition solution to test and learn if we can augment our existing recruitment process, if it's feasible and viable. In scope would be this proof of concept or recruitment of one role type. For example, our solution engineers for one country, for example, Australia or region, and said totally. Why solutions engineers? We hire quite a few of them. They're actually quite a technical role, so I think they'd be quite interesting to explore. I think there'd be better appetite there. And we could look at internal and external recruitment processes. In terms of approach, I think we should get a small project team, which I'll talk about more on the following slide, and a steering committee, and run some sprints to work through our proof of concept, which I estimate will take us about 8 to 10 weeks, presenting the findings at the end of the steering committee. A key thing about this proof of concept for me will be keeping a human in the loop, reviewing key stages of the process of AI for any learnings or risk mitigation. Some assumptions are stated there as well. So in terms of how we might implement this, as I said, ran it through, I think it's going to be about 10 weeks. I know that's a bit slow for us, but I think we should take our time here. There's risks. Get the team together week 1, weeks 2 through 5, review our data, prepare the data, collect some baseline measures, like how long does it take us to recruit someone today? How much effort is it for a hiring manager versus a recruiter versus a candidate? I think we need to do some work on selecting an AI solution to test and learn with. I think we need to run the proof of concept then and run it with AI in the loop for at least 4 weeks. Then we can compare the findings and present those back to the steering committee. And I recommend we have a checkpoint every 2 weeks. Very importantly, we'll need some special roles to run this proof of concept. I've identified for this, given we're using an out-of-box solution, a data scientist, a data engineer, and some project resources. The scientist, you can see, would do the data review and analysis, look at current state realities, implications for the team and business. The data engineer would actually transform and extract the data, label it, and get it ready to feed into AI solutions or models. And it would also help us be the key person identifying what's our solution that we're going to select out of the box to pilot. We'll also need a project lead from the business who will advise and be accountable also for selecting the AI solution and presenting findings to the steering committee. We'll need a subject matter expert from our talent acquisition team and from one of our solution engineering hiring managers. We'll want a project manager to keep us on track. I think we should involve a change manager as well to kind of ensure we manage change, risk, and mitigation. And also, I think there'll be some good learnings for any future rollouts. And then we'll need steering committees. And I hope that's yourselves on the call today or your delegates, as well as somebody from our solutions engineering leadership. And very importantly, when it comes to AI, we should factor in some ethical considerations. I've named some here. In particular for us, I'll call out, trust is our number one value at Salesforce. So we should be very open with candidates and recruiters and hiring managers about where and why AI has been used in the recruitment process, including how we're going to use candidates' data and manage that candidates' data privacy very closely. We'll need to watch out for bias in the process and monitoring the solution for that. And definitely, I would recommend that we proceed with keeping a human in the loop as part of the proof of concept and going forward, just around making actual decisions every step of the way. The human makes the decision, not the AI. There'll probably be some challenges along the way, and we'll need to mitigate those. I've included a longer list here and flagged a few in particular that I think we should consider. So data quality, I think, will be one for us. We have lots of functions around the globe. Is our data all in the same place? I know we're using Workday, it's there, but we're also using often an applicant screening system. And also there's like desk notes and stuff. So we're going to data quality and that labeling will be key. Organizational buy-in, I think we are a very AI progressive company, but I think to test and learn for this HR use case will just be a matter of where does it fit in the overall priorities. And I think the other main one will be moving at pace but getting things right. This is a 10-week proof of concept. We often move much more quickly, but I think we should take our time and make sure we learn what we need to do before we go more broadly. In terms of measures of success, I think there's a few key ones. So improved time to hire, for example, X% improved or Y days less than current process. I think there's a lot of others that are to be confirmed. A lot of the solutions in the recruitment space, for example, when it comes to AI and HR, have other additional features to them. For example, we could use it for screening. We could use it for second round video interviews, as I was describing from that case from Unilever. There's some intangible stuff that we could measure, for example, improved experience, improved decrease in bias. there's something about our job descriptions. We have a bit of a, they're all over the place today, but this could also help us improve our job description catalog, in which I know would really help us manage risk and compliance a bit better. In terms of AI machine learning outputs for this, we're going to need ideally a couple of tactical outputs. One will be, as part of the speeding up the speed of recruitment, a long list of suitable candidates for a role and screening out those unsuitable. And ideally, the outputs are a stack rank or a short list of top matches for a role. For example, this person's a 90% match and onwards. So those are the outputs. So that was a really fast tour of what I recommend for us from an AI proof of concept pilot. Thank you so much for spending the time. Would like to leave time for your questions now and see if I've got your endorsement to proceed. So thank you so much for your time today. And thank you also. This is the end of my overall final project. So thank you very much.